today we're talking about replacing or disconnecting the hoses from your dual diverter and how to replace them. If you're replacing the dual diverter, or if you're replacing the hoses, whichever way, this video will help you kind of get through that process. So this is the dual diverter that we use for a variety of Multipure systems. The Aquadome, some of our countertop systems, some customers choose to have the dual diverter configuration, and so it could be on a variety of systems that you might have at your home. So first things first, for this you will have disconnected the diverter from the end of your faucet with this thumb tight ring. You can also put maybe some pliers on it to gently kind of loosen it up, but you want to take it off the faucet before you do this because it's going to make it a lot easier. For this video, I'm going to just put that gasket over to the side so it doesn't constantly fall out on us. Next, we need to disconnect the tubing from the diverter valve. So this is 3/8 tubing, this is 1/4 inch tubing, and these are theoretically thumb tight screws. In other words, screws that you can just connect and disconnect with your hands, but over time they might get to the point where they're on there a little bit tight, and so you can again put some pliers on, but for this video I'm just going to use my hands here. So it doesn't matter which one you disconnect first. Just because I'm right-handed, I'm going to do the 3/8 tube first, and so you just unthread it, that nut, and then you slide the nut backwards down the tube, and then you can see where the tube is connected to the diverter though. Now we're going to do the same with the 1/4 inch tube. Now I've already pre-loosened this one, so it's going to go a little bit faster. And then we slide that nut off of the diverter valve. Now you just need to pull on it a little bit, and that 3/8 inch tube comes off of that barbed fitting on the 3/8 inch line, and likewise you take off the 1/4 inch tube off the 1/4 inch barb. Now what we're going to do is, if you're doing a new one, we're going to we're going to simulate having new tubing here, and I'm just cutting off the ends of this tubing. Now I've got a specialized tube cutter here, which you probably don't have, so a simple sharp razor blade, and as long as you cut a nice square cut with a sharp razor, that should work. I want to make sure these are approximately the same length. So now we've got two essentially brand new ends here on our tubing. Nice square cut, and now what you'd want to do is just slide that end over the barbed fitting. Now, it might take a little bit, but this tubing should be soft enough to fit over that barbed fitting. See, just like I did there, and you get it nice and square and flush up against the metal, and then you just kind of reverse the process and you just tighten down on that nut. And as you're tightening down on that nut, what's happening on the inside is it's actually compressing this tube over that barb, and it's kind of deforming it like you saw in the old parts. It kind of deformed over that barb, which tells us that it's going to make a nice perfect seal on it with your new diverter valve. So once we get those, again, I'm just tightening it by hand, and that should be tight enough. Putting our gasket back in there, re-thread this back on the end of your faucet, turn on the water pressure, go back and forth between filtered and unfiltered water a few times to make sure that you don't have any leaks here. If you see a leak there, you might want to tighten up these nuts a little bit, and you should be set.